here I am, my feet flame as I escape.
Hey there, it's Jack here at Island Recording Studios, and today I have the ultimate drummer's studio checklist. We have the drum kit set up, and there's a bunch of things you need to have ready to go anytime that you are recording, whether it's here at Island Recording Studios or anywhere around the world. Step one, so when was the last time you checked your drum heads? If you're heading into the studio, you better make sure that your drum heads are ready to go. If you're looking for a bright, open, punchy tone, you might want clear heads. If you're looking for that warmer, maybe more vintage tone, you're going to want coated heads. Before heading into the studio, work out the overall drum sound you're going for in your session. This will determine the type of heads and the tuning that you will need for your drums. Maybe you're looking for a lower tuned, fatter sounding drum as opposed to maybe a jazz session where you might prefer a higher tuned drum kit overall. So next time you head into the studio, are your drum heads pitted? Are your drum heads worn? If so, put on some new drum heads to get the best drum sound that you can. Is your hardware up to snuff? Before heading into the studio, check you've got plenty of these items ready to go in case of an emergency. Before heading into the studio, write down your drummer's survival tech list. Do you have cymbal felts? You never know when you're gonna need them. Wing nuts. Before heading into the studio, check all your drums have all of their tension rods. You would be surprised how often they can go walkabouts. Drumsticks come in many different weights and sizes, depending on your body type, depending on the project that you are in. Make sure to check the drumstick works for your purpose. Also, keep your drumsticks safe. In a drumstick bag, is your bass drum pedal as old as the hills, like this one? Before heading into the studio, keep your hardware and bass drum pedal lubricated and oiled up, or your recording will be iconic for the wrong reasons. So to recap, check your cymbal felts, wing nuts and tension rods, and keep the moving parts well lubricated. When it comes to the drum world, there are many different ways to be able to get the drum sound that you desire. Many of the drum sounds are best achieved using drum dampening. Here's a few options that you can use for drum dampening to dial in the perfect drum sound for your next recording. Drum dampening gels, tone rings, big fat snare drum. Alternatively, you can also use some drum hacks that we have here at Island Studios. If you have any old drum heads lying around at home, take them and cut them to size. Once they've been cut to size, you can place them on top of your drum head. Now you have yourself an instant big fat snare drum. Whilst there are many great drum dampening gels out on the market today, such as the Evans EQ Pod, a cheaper alternative are these. You can find these cheap little slappy hands just about anywhere online. And if all else fails, our best friend is gaffer tape. As drummers heading into the studio, we can't just think about the drum sound. We also have to think about the cymbal sound. Traditionally, there are two types of cymbal sounds: bright cymbal sounds and dark cymbal sounds. Before heading into the studio, think about whether a brighter or a darker cymbal sound will suit your project's needs. If you're looking for your cymbal sound to cut through the mix, you're going to want a bright cymbal sound. Brighter cymbals tend to have uniform hammering patterns on them, which helps the sound waves come off the cymbals at a more even rate, giving it a nice, clean, bright tone. But if you're looking for your cymbals to sit a little bit more in the mix, you might want some darker sounding cymbals. Darker cymbals tend to have their characteristics due to random hammering patterns and many different types of lathing patterns. This creates uneven sound waves coming off of the cymbal, creating a much darker and more unique cymbal sound. By having a randomized hammering pattern, this gives the cymbal a wider frequency range, which leads to a darker sounding cymbal. Some people like to clean their cymbals before going into the studio. Some people prefer that they just keep them as is. That's completely up to you. If you're looking for the brightest sound possible, I suggest cleaning your cymbals. If you're liking the cymbals just as they are, that's perfectly okay as well. So before heading into the studio, think about what cymbal sound is going to suit your project the best. In the studio, you will find yourself needing to use some form of monitoring. Here, I'm wearing some isolation headphones. This is the most common form of monitoring that you will use and encounter in the studio whilst recording drums. Also in the studio, it is becoming a much more popularized and common occurrence these days in the studio to also use in-ear monitors. If you're looking for in-ear monitors, there are many different brands out on the market today. One of the great things about using in-ear monitors is that they are a lot less cumbersome than the typical studio headphone. Another cool thing about in-ear monitors is that there are many different designs out there with many different features. And if you're looking for that extra bit of isolation, you can even put a pair of headphones over the top of the in-ear monitors. So you've got your drum sound sorted, your hardware's ready to rock, and you've got the right monitoring for the job. Now it's time to bring good vibes. Without good vibes, you don't get good performances. So show up to your next session with a smile on your face and some good vibes in your heart, ready to hit some drums.